So it's the beginning of November. Disappointing to see that in the distance the local farmers have been ploughing their field. Such a shame. I thought the idea was to have regen agriculture, but then I don't really see the point in that, because farmers seem to be doing less tilling, but they still apply chemicals. So I find myself asking the question, what's the point? There's a debate. Anyway, let's talk about garlic. I have to understand and accept that I'm not going to be able to change the commercially driven food production system. So I just concentrate on what I'm doing here and hopefully pass on some of that to you guys. So now is the perfect time for us to be planting our garlics if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. So the Southern Hemisphere is whenever you have your fall, which is about June, July time. But for us, it's now in the autumn, before the cold weather comes in, before the soil gets too cold. And so I put together an educational video for you to have a look at. It's not done in here because the metal roof, you can hear sometimes the leaves falling down onto that. So we're going to go and have a look at that video now. It's really informative and talks about all kinds of things. How to plant, how far away spacings you need to plant each clove, what types of garlic there are, the soft neck and the hard neck, pros and cons of each. So we'll have a look at that. And then I'll show you what I've been doing with my garlic beds. So here's our guide to growing garlic. The first thing to do is choose the right type of garlic for your climate and also your preference. There are two main types of garlic, hardneck and also softneck. Hardneck garlic has a stiff stem and produces fewer cloves per bulb and more flavour and also aroma. It also produces edible scapes, flower stalks to you and me, that can be harvested in the early summer. Hardneck garlic is more suited for cold climates as it requires exposure to low temperatures to form the bulbs. Some examples of hardneck garlic are rocambole, porcelain, purple stripe and glazed purple stripe. Softneck garlic has a soft stem and produces more cloves per bulb, but it has less flavour and also aroma. It doesn't produce scapes, but it does store longer than hardneck garlic. Softneck garlic is more suited for warm climates, as it doesn't need vernalisation, which is a cold treatment to form the bulbs. Some examples of softneck garlic include artichoke, silver skin, creole and Asiatic. It's important to prepare the soil and planting site. Garlic prefers a sunny location with well-drained, loose and fertile soil. And the soil pH should be between 6 and 7. You can amend the soil with organic matter or fertiliser, organic of course, before planting to improve its texture and nutrient content. If you have heavy clay soil, you can also plant garlic in raised beds or containers filled with rich potting mix. Now we've got a very important message for the channel. So we're going to take a break here and then join us after the message. Hey guys, just a quick break from the video. I've got a question for you. Why is it that we have to pay to eat well or learn? It's quite an interesting proposition when you think about it in more depth. With regards to paying more, if you don't have the money available, and a lot of people don't, or they're really restricted on their incomes, they're forced into buying foods that are ultra processed, which isn't good for them. There's loads of studies out there that show that children, for example, can lose up to 7 centimetres in their height because of that particular type of diet. And if it has an effect on their physical condition, just think what it could have on their mental condition or their intelligence as well. Now, if you want to know more about that, ask me in the comment section down below and I'll let you know the book that I've been reading that tells you all about it in greater depth. Far too big for me to go into now. But you could take that theory and apply it into something else. And in this particular case, I'm talking about this channel. Now, I produce all these videos for one reason and one reason only. It's to show people how they can produce their own good quality nutritional food that is dead easy to do and doesn't cost a lot of money to do it. And there's a lot of people out there that want to know how to do these things. And at the moment, I've got 630 odd subscribers doing just that, which is absolutely great. And I appreciate you all for doing so. All this content that you see, I do myself. The cameras, the sound equipment, the lighting, everything is me on my own. No one holds the camera. No one's a Steven Spielberg around here, as you can probably work out. I do it all on my own. And I pay for it all on my own. It's not a huge cost, but I still do so. But it's a free resource for anyone that can't afford to go and pay £200, £300, £400 to learn how to grow fruit and vegetables in a particular style. This is a free resource for people that can't afford to do that thing. Now, they can all look at a YouTube video and hopefully they're looking at mine. If you know somebody in that situation, let them know about it. Share the videos and help them along their way. And even better, what you could do is support the channel by hitting the subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing to do. But the trick is, the more subscribers I get to this channel, the more content I can produce. And YouTube perhaps can start paying instead of anybody else. So everyone can keep their £200, £300 or £400 in their pocket and spend it on something that's decent to eat and also learn for free. I don't sell courses, I don't sell books, and I don't have any intention to do so in the future. So what you got to do, please hit the sub button, like it, share it, and then everyone can benefit for free. Let's get back to the video. Thanks. Welcome back. Now we want to plant the garlic cloves in the right season. So depending on your climate and location, you can plant garlic either in the fall or in the spring. So in northern areas that get a hard frost, it's recommended to plant garlic in the fall, about 6 to 8 weeks before the ground freezes. This is going to allow the garlic to establish roots before winter and then resume growth in the spring. In southern areas that don't have a cold winter, it's better to plant garlic in early spring as soon as the ground can be worked. However, you may need to chill the garlic cloves in the refrigerator for a few weeks before planting to induce bulb formation. It's important that we plant garlic cloves properly. To do this, you need to break the bulb of the garlic into individual cloves with a papery husk left on. Choose the largest and the healthiest cloves for planting and use the smaller ones for cooking or preserving. Plant the cloves about 1 inch to 2 inches deep and from 4 to 8 inches apart. We want the root end should be pointing downwards and the pointy bit upwards. Then just cover the planted cloves with soil and pat it down gently. Mulch and water the garlic cloves afterwards. After planting, cover the garlic bed with a thick layer of mulch, about 6 inches deep, to protect the plants from frost, weeds, pests and moisture loss. You can use straw, hay, leaves, grass, chippings or wood chips as a mulch material. Water the garlic plants regularly during the growing season, especially in dry periods. But don't overwater or saturate the soil, because this can cause rotting or fungal diseases. Reduce the watering when the leaves start to turn yellow and die back in late spring or early summer. Feeding and pruning garlic plants. Garlic's a heavy feeder and benefits from additional fertilisation during the growing cycle. You can apply an organic fertiliser such as fish emulsion or compost tea once a month until mid-May. You can also side dress the plants with extra compost or manure in May to provide extra nutrients. If you're growing hardneck garlic, you may need to prune the scapes when they appear in June or July. Scapes are curly stalks that grow from the centre of the bulb and produce flower heads at their tips. Removing them will allow the plant to focus its energy on bulb development instead of flowering. Use scissors or a knife to cut off the scapes near the base. You can also eat them fresh or cooked, as they do have a mild garlic flavour. Harvest and cure the garlic bulbs. The best time to harvest garlic is when the lower leaves have turned brown and dry, but the upper leaves are still green and healthy. This usually happens in July or August for full planted garlic, and in August or September for spring planted garlic. To harvest the garlic, simply loosen the soil around each bulb and then pull it out by its stem. Don't wash or brush off the dirt from the bulbs. This can damage their skin and reduce their storage life. Instead, let them dry and cure in a well-ventilated, shady and a dry place for 2 to 4 weeks. You can hang them in bunches or lay them on racks or screens. Curing will allow the bulbs to develop a protective layer and also a stronger flavour. We need to store the bulbs properly. After curing, you can trim the roots and stems of the garlic bulbs and clean off any excess dirt or loose wrappers. But don't peel off too many layers, as this can expose the cloves and make them spoil faster. You can also braid the stems of soft-neck garlic varieties into decorative garlands or wreaths. Store your bulbs in a cool, dark and dry place with very good air circulation. Don't put them in plastic bags or containers, as these will trap the moisture and cause mould or sprouting. You can also store them in mesh bags, paper bags or cardboard boxes with holes in. And finally, properly stored garlic bulbs can last for several months or even up to a year. Now let's go back outside. Now, as per the video we've just seen, I'm just popping in the last few cloves. And no doubt, just as I start this, sure enough, I've got Jack to my left, my right, and Rada the dog up the top. So what I've done in this bed is I have already got my holes with my dibber, and I'm just popping in the cloves now. If you look further up there, that wooden post sticking out of the ground, that is my dibber. We're no dig, but we are a dibber. And so from here, all the way along, across this bed, there's 70 cloves of garlic in there. In the video, we spoke about the spacing, and I've actually increased the spacing because I will be planting something else in amongst the garlic. And I've been forced to do that because of another issue that we've got here in the vegetable patch that I've learnt over this year. So I have to change the way I'm going to be growing things. This is all part of the regen process, understanding our contexts and then adapting to our conditions. And that's going to be the subject of next week's video. So we've got the garlics in here. The bed itself was dressed last year with compost, and then when I cleared this space out, which had some of the squashes in, I've reapplied a good layer of organic horse manure. I mean, it's going to be organic because it's horse manure. There's no amino powders present in that. And then I've topped it off with another layer of quite old green waste compost mixed in with a bit of homemade compost as well. You can see there's a little bit of grass growing through there, but that's going to be from the seeds from the hay. I can't do much about that, but that's it. I'll give it a water, and then I'll be able to top dress it as we go through the year, as the instructional video we've seen just now. And this is the view heading south. So we've got them in before the cold weather comes. So I've got a couple of weeks or so. You see, it's unseasonably mild here, has been for a while. But I've got plenty of time now to get these to set off their roots, get going, and then stay in there over the winter. So there we have it, another guide on how to grow another type of vegetable, garlics. As I've mentioned, I've had a big issue with a certain type of vegetable here, and that's going to be the subject of next week's video. But it brings together all the other things I've been talking about, understanding our context here and how I have to adapt my growing techniques to fulfill what I want out of the ground. You know, I want abundance in certain types of crops, but I'm now beginning to see that I'm going to have to change some of my methods to get that end result. It's unseasonably warm here, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And a year ago, it was misty, it was very cold, and very damp. I still had the garlics in, but I had them in the week before we got that weather, and we're still not predicted to get that kind of cold weather just yet, but we're about 10-14 days away, so now is the ideal time, and the soil is quite warm. So for now, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget about the newsletter. The link is in the description below, so you can sign up for that. It's every Monday, and our podcast comes out every Wednesday. I haven't quite got the hang of this bit about podcasts on YouTube, because I can load the podcast on YouTube fine, but it also appears as a video. Not quite sure how that works, but each one of these forms always has a different content, so it's worth you looking. And like I've said in this video, if I can get my words out, please share it. It's free information, and if you can share it, and if you can like it, you can make a comment, YouTube will share it out to all other people as well, so it helps the channel grow. You wouldn't believe by how much. So for now, take care, have a great weekend, and I'll catch up with you next week.